production, it fits this principle perfectly today. So for everybody who's at home, welcome back, Alchemist. This is Abundance Thursdays with myself, Gualter Morello, and the great Vinny Smile Chopra, all the way from California today. But he came to
Thank
this
you.
country with $7 in his pocket from India, landed in Florida, and somehow worked his way up and down and across the country through single families, into multifamilies, into assisted livings, into residential assisted livings, and into hospitality about 5 or 6 years ago. So, Vinny, this principle today that we're talking about is uh, sell your product before you build or create it. And this is a fundamental, most people mess this up. They actually get the entrepreneurial like bug where they think, I'm an entrepreneur, I can go and do this. And they start doing all this work, but they don't have a single customer. You don't operate that way. You actually, before you even close on a hotel, you already know who's going to carry the flag. You already know who your avatar is. You already understand where the businesses are. And you already start your marketing and feeling it out in advance. That's different, right? Most people don't think of it that way. They think I'm going to close and then I'll figure it all out, as if the deal itself is what makes the value, but it's really the operations and that testing you do in advance. How did you learn that? How did you learn to test the deal before you close the deal?
That's a very good point. Thank you. Thank you, brother Walter. What I really find is that as human beings, right, we come up with lots of great ideas and we feel like I want to jump on it next day and I want to do it and go climb that mountain. But when we climb that mountain a little bit far, we don't look back and see who's following us. Do we even have a following or the need to make that business or open up a shop in a shopping center or any kind of business? I mean, the prudent thing is to really do a lot of research to find out. See, many times we think we are the only ones who are doing this thing. That's not true. Somebody else might have had the same idea. It's for us to see the location and also who is doing it, how far have they gone, and do the market study. We call it feasibility studies in real estate or market studies for hotels or senior livings everywhere. Because when you're building something from fresh, it takes you 3 to 5 years, 3 to 4 years at least, 2 to 3 years, let's say, if you have the loan intact and so forth. But the key thing is when the product comes out, if it's obsolete, if there is no demand for it, it could be a company, it could be a business, it could be a franchise, it could be, anything. So you're 100% right. We need to be involved in the feasibility and do few due diligence to look into if even that product is needed. It could be in every fashion. We could talk about services, we could talk about real estate, we could talk about a franchise that somebody's buying, things like that. So, in hotels, to be very truthful, we have had some really good hit runs where we bought them in auctions. I've never bought a hotel which is on the market, never, last 7 years. The one we first bought in auction really made it good. And then COVID came and we lucked out because we talked to the doctors and the nurses as the story goes, and it went higher price. We sold it 10 to 1031, things like that. The one we bought, I was talking to one of my investors this morning in Plano, Texas. We knew that hotel at the bank and it was ready to be sold. But then the bank said, we want more, more, more offers. 35 offers came and we got accepted and we closed that in December. But why did we do it? Because we had done the due diligence about the occupancy, about the daily rates, how the renovations will bring the value up. And not only that, the location, location, location. It's so important. So that was the due diligence we also did. Same thing, with our hotel, which is in Tampa, Florida. We just closed on. It's doing very, very well because it was a cash flowing machine to start with, and so forth. And the other one we are doing in Columbus Hotel, it's again, we bought it so cheap. We are doing renovations and so forth. So, not to make it long, the big thing is due diligence, research, and really getting to see what product you're trying to put together, a service or coaching or consulting or a company, and who has done it better so far, and where is the niche? Where would you attract your clients or customers?
I like that you're talking about the customer before they actually before you have the product, right? Like
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
asking, you're thinking and leading with the customer and saying, what do they want? What do they want? What do they want? Are they
Mhm.
interested? And then saying, guys, are you interested? Because I've got this. I could produce this, but that offer comes first, right? The solution
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
built, bought, acquired, spent, lent on. So Vinny, you're doing these hotels, and as you're
Mhm.
building, some of them are ground up builds. Some, in fact, I remember with the senior assisted livings, you were doing ground up builds,
Yes,
94
yes.
units. But before the building was completed, you already
Mhm.
had one third of the building sold or a quarter of the building rented out. How does that work? You don't even
No,
have
that
beds
that
in it. You don't have there's no staff
yes.
there yet. How do you lease up a building that's, still like a foundation and walls are barely being put up?
Totally. No, what happens is in those senior livings, we did feasibility studies and found out what the capture rate, we call it, of the need of the seniors is for assisted living or memory care. But then we start building, we got to get the good loan in place. And the situation about the loans in senior living has been very tight because there were a lot of debts at senior livings after COVID. We really kind of made it bad. Then once we had built about 80% or so like that, that's when we start advertising so people can see, look at the website, and then start looking. If you have a facility nearby, they could tour them. Like Punta Gorda deal, we had 45 seniors who moved in first month as we opened it, and it was because our leasing agent had talked to the families and they were interested in moving in. So that was huge. And the key thing is, once you have the plan in action, same thing with, I've never done multifamily ground ups, but it's a very big job to lease each apartment as you're constructing them and finishing and bringing them to the line. I really believe this time of the economy where we are right now, there are so many buildings are out there that you can buy them, like the hotels we are buying, and then renovate them. So the bones are good. If we renovate it inside, with permits and everything, then it's much better alternative.
I like that you just mentioned the most important part of this is a decision has been made to do research first. You did these
Yes,
feasibility
yes,
studies, went out
yes,
to find
yes,
out if there's a customer base. Are they the right age?
mhm,
Are they
mhm.
uh, do they own houses? Do they not own houses? How far are they from the potential
Yes.
site? That's all necessary before you went and built and got the loan. You actually had a feasibility study, and I'm sure the banks actually require that at the size that you're operating.
Yes, yes, yes.
They don't want to just see, hey, Vinny likes senior assisted livings.
Yeah,
He read a
no,
book
no,
once. He thought it was a great idea.
no, no,
And
no.
it's the same thing for the hotels. Tell me a little more about the feasibility studies that you do before you buy these hotels, before you jump
Very
into
good point.
200 units or 190 units
Oh,
doors,
oh,
keys.
Oh, totally. I mean, it's a very, very stringent requirements to see location, location, location. What's the demand? How many hotels are near that location? What's the star report? It's called Smith report, star report, which tells you these quality of hotels. This is what the occupancy is. This is how much they are charging, average daily rate. Because in hotels, it's a daily leasing, we call it, just like an apartment. It's a 6 month lease or 12-month lease or 3 month lease. In hotel hospitality, it's a daily lease. So you have to be very, very knowledgeable about the area, what is coming up, what new hotels are coming around, and what's in the works, and why this particular location went down, the history. You have to look back into the history of the hotel that you're buying. why it got to where it did, and then what's your business plan on it? That's the next thing. What are you going to do with it when you get the keys? When you get your keys, you got to put day one action plan like we have done it in multifamily for many, many, many years. You got to hit the ground running so that you're able to bring value. You should have a written out business plan, what you're going to do week by week, month by month, so that you can bring value to the clients, to the tourists, and to do also increasing your occupancy. If it's empty, for example, then you need to have the marketing strategies and who is going to be what flag. We like to work with only flags, like take the hotels which have no flag and then talk to Hilton and Marriott. Marriott's are bigger, a little bit bigger than Hilton's. And then we, talk to both my partners and I, and then we look at who is going to give us the key money. Key money is the one where they would like to that location so much, they give you a bonus of the key money, which in our case, we give it back to the investors, which is really cool. So they get, even during renovation, the hotel is not open. There is no cash flow because the operation is not there. But the key money, when we get it, when we open, we turn it around and give it to the investors. So that way. So going back to, what do we look for? There are um, umpty things, you have to look at, the economic side cycle. I like the hotel locations where they are near to hospitals, they are near to universities, and they are near to corporate sectors, and also some attractions, tourism attractions. So those four things really help a lot to get constant number of tourism, flow. And you have to see also what other economic factors are happening in that vicinity of your location of the hotel.
Vinny, that's a lot. I know there's a lot of people listening right now who are saying, man, that's too much. It's too much information. How I don't have
Mhm.
time to do that. Uh,
Yeah.
it is a lot, right? Like there's a lot of research that gets done. What happens if you don't do the research?
Oh my gosh. You can fall flat, I mean, on your face, really, because you don't want to spend millions of dollars, your money or investors' money once you have done full studies and everything, because it's a huge thing. Once you get the key, I always say that once you are on the title of the company, you close the deal, closing statement, all the money's wired, everything, it's your baby. So you've got to really be totally aware of the underwriting procedures. The assumptions have to be very conservative, and everything that is in your power as you buy it, you want to look through everything, because there are a lot of uncontrollables also in real estate, and the investors know that, limited partners know that. They want to make great returns, but then sometime, it says in the ppm you could lose all of your money. So people do make decisions to earn higher, cash flows and equity gains in lieu of, anything can happen in real estate, which the market cycle has been very difficult actually for the last 4 or 5 years in USA. A lot of things did not happen because of the lender tightening, the loans tightening, and also the interest rates being high, the insurance rates being high, the property taxes being high, as you know, that has really hurt the commercial market a lot,
So
and that's,
it's dangerous not to do this research. It's
oh,
absolutely
yeah,
dangerous
oh,
not to do the
definitely,
feasibility studies. What do some of these
definitely.
studies cost you? Like, because here's the thing. I know there's
Hmm.
operators who don't do feasibility studies. I know there's operators who don't take the time to research. They don't even use the free tools. They don't use Perplexity. They're not using
Oh
Kimi
my
or
gosh.
uh,
Oh.
like Gemini. Like they're just saying, I got
Mm-mm.
something under agreement because I found it on the internet and I'm going to go close.
No. Oh my
I know in your
gosh.
mastermind, you spend a lot of time talking about feasibility studies. You spend a lot of time talking about
Hmm.
marketing studies. You spend a lot of time talking about the mapping of like the finances, the milestones. Your
Sure.
calculator is like 12 pages long. It's huge. Vinny, I was teasing out the idea of putting your calculator somewhere on the website, and I said I've got to this is a huge. It's just too big. It's too intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that concept of there's a process you follow
You
because it
have to.
prevents
You have
failure.
to.
It prevents the risk, right? There's so much
So
risk.
true.
What
So
does it
true.
cost to do some of these feasibility studies? Like, what is
You
the
know,
most expensive one you've ever done? What was the biggest,
oh,
most involved?
that's a good one. That's a good question. I
And
would
don't
say
give me
my
the free
partner.
tools. Give me what
No,
you
no,
have
no, no,
spent, the
no.
most you've ever spent on
Exactly.
a feasibility study.
I would say, in the senior livings, usually we have spent 5,000 to 7,500 to give a professional consulting company to do a 85 pages long study to show us the location and what's the competition and what's the capture rate, how much is the demand, how it's going to increase or decrease, what's the net worth, like you said, of the seniors and all those things. Similarly, in hospitality, I've not done feasibility study because I'm not building any hotels, but I'm sure my partners who are big developers in nation, they spend 20, $30,000, I bet, for larger studies to be able to really make sure when we are building a hotel of 20 million to 100 million or something, it will it's worth to get that, $20,000 study done like that, right? So you want to spend money so that it's going to not bite you later on. You sometimes people say, I just got this deal, the numbers work, everything. I said, that's good, but then look at the location. Is it gentrifying? Is it on an upswing? Is it like a emerging market, we call it many times, right? Would the population be moving into that area or going away from that area? Are the businesses coming into that area or they are leaving? Many times, we find Best Buy, Costco, Walmart, Starbucks, all these, they do millions of dollars of studies. And if they are finding in certain areas they're opening up and so forth, it means they've done some work. And maybe it's a good idea to dig into those neighborhoods more than just finding a deal on Craigslist.
And I want to be clear for anybody who's listening, thinking, "Wow,
Yeah.
I'm just going to go find out what Starbucks did
No.
and what Walmart did and what
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
companies are." What Vinny just said is that is a sign. It is a
Sign of
sign.
it.
It is a
Sign of it. Yeah.
signal. It is not a guarantee
Mm-mm.
oh, Starbucks is there. I must be able to
No,
invest.
no, no,
They
no.
are signs, and then from those signs, you start making deeper decisions to eventually get to a feasibility study, to eventually get to a marketing
and
study.
and and talk to other people in that area. See, when you are buying something in that area, talk to the brokers, call them and take them into confidence and ask them what's happening there. If you don't live in the area, you got to really find out. Management companies, property management companies could be amazing source for us because they are able to manage and they can tell you the good and the bad and the ugly, what's happening and where the market is going. And then statistics. Nowadays, AI can give you so many reports, right on your desktop, right? So lots of things need to go in before investment happens.
And this is the part that's so cool, right? A person who talks to a property manager and talks to a broker. Brokers kind of, generalize, but then you get to the property manager, they can tell you what the rents are, they tell you how fast it would
Yeah,
lease up, they can tell you how long the renovations take,
yeah,
what that particular location might need for a renovation in order to make it easier
yeah,
to market. Because a
yeah.
broker doesn't know, right? That's
No.
not their
Mm-mm,
lane. We're now
mm-mm,
going deep. I think we've gone four layers of depth into this concept of Vinny Chopra selling before he's even bought the building. The
mm-mm.
concept. This is before you even. Your investors don't know any of this, right? This is like before an offer
That's
goes out.
fair.
They've never heard anything. You've already contacted an agent. You've done the basic decisions of the area. This what stores are in there. Then you do the feasibility study, or actually your offer is already in. with an agent. Then you do, if it gets accepted, you do the feasibility study, or does this come before?
Well, no feasibility study. You actually in the senior livings and things like, oh, there's somebody coming. I don't know who that is. Can we just stop a little bit? And no, it's
Yeah. So
live right
what
now.
we'll do is we'll
Yeah,
we'll recover this
we'll
next
recover.
week.
Yeah,
So
next
Vinny
week.
Chopra's got to
Thank you.
go. Ladies and
Thank you
gentlemen,
so
Abundance
much.
Thursdays. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
on the next one.
See
Cheers.
you in the next one.
See you, Vinny.
Thank you.
Go
Cheers.
get the door.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Bye. So Vinny's jumping out, but basically this principle, sell it before you build or create it, is one of the most controversial that I've had inside Alchemist Station. Many people tell me it can't work in my business. It can't work in my business. It can't work in my business. But it works in every business. We see it in the video game world. They go out and they pre-sell the video game before you ever have access to the actual game itself. Tesla is known for selling their cars. You could put a couple $100s down and you could get a pre-leased right to go and get their truck when it finally comes out 6 years later. In real estate, as a multifamily landlord, we will, before we buy the property, we already start listing the units. First thing we do if we've put it under agreement is we go and we take pictures of the best units. And if we don't have any good units, we take pictures of existing tenants that have good units, or we ask them for their marketing materials in advance. And we start marketing those buildings before we close. So, entrepreneurs, business owners, real estate investors, sell that product before you build or create it. We'll see you next week. This is Abundance Thursdays, myself and the great Vinny Chopra. Cheers to your success, your choice. I always work with the best.